Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining today's panel discussion, looking at if mobile solutions are revolutionizing the way housing associations do their work. My name is Guy Holding. I head up the UK and Ireland sector for Resco, and I'm delighted to be joined with, as you can see there, our panelists today. So we have Eloisa McCormack from Redkite CRM. We have Stuart Isley from Town and Country Housing, Richard Trout from Wales and West Housing,
Morning.
Mark Rogers, Danielle Copeland, all from Remote Housing. So for those of you that don't know Resco technology, I just want to do a very quick introduction for you, if it allows me. Just to give you some facts and figures of Resco. We're not a startup company. We've been providing business enterprise mobility solutions for over 20 years now. As a result of that, we have over 2,500 customers in over 100 countries worldwide. And as you can see, we have over 200,000 users using our technology. From the UK market, we're delighted that this industry, the housing industry, has really gotten the best use from our technology as well. And I'm sure the panelists will be speaking on that later on. We're also used by organizations like the United Nations as well. So we have a great sort of track record there. But what is Resco technology? Just a brief introduction. The key part of Resco technology is Resco Woodford. That's our configuration tool for mobile projects. Using that tool, you can configure mobile projects and applications directly to your client's needs and requirements. And we've also added on additional designers, builders, and modules for that as well, that allow you to carry out certain tasks like estate inspections. You can use Resco technology on any device, so that could be mobile, tablets, desktop, iOS, Windows, Android, of course. But you also have the ability to use further devices like smartwatches, smart glasses, other mobile devices, and you can even build your own progressive web application as well. We natively integrate, of course, with Microsoft Dynamics 365 as well as Salesforce, but you also have the option to use Resco Cloud. That could be as a standalone, for example, if you don't want to take the step into either Salesforce or Dynamics at the moment, or you can use Resco Cloud to actually bring in third-party or legacy systems to your solution. You could also integrate with SAP and Oracle if you wish. We don't just leave you starting from scratch. We've configured some projects for you. So we have mobile sales, a field service scenario, inspections. We have Resco routes. You can build your own custom application, and we also have our City Smart services as well. All these can be used as a standalone, or they can all be integrated into one solution on the platform of your choice. Just to give you a quick demonstration of what can be achieved. Here you can see Resco inspections being used on a iOS device, an iPad. We're showing you one sort of question that's available to you. This is our AR tagged image. It allows you to enter a property or carry out a visual 360 inspection and then add anchor points to various parts or what you're looking to inspect within that as well. And we're seeing a lot of interest within this, within the housing sector at the moment. And some of the panelists will be talking about how inspections has assisted them carrying out their various working activities as well. So it's probably best to look at Resco, I would say, as building blocks, as Lego, if you want, and then using our components, you can configure a application, a project to your needs and requirements. And these are not just one role. You could have tenants using an external user application, of course, non-CRM facing. You could have a mobile application for your field workers, for your technicians, of course, as well as your back office staff. So from me, I think that's about enough at the moment. I just well, I'm delighted to hand you over to one of our implementation partners, which is Redkite CRM, and I'll introduce Eloisa McCormack now.
All right, brilliant. Thanks, Guy. Just give me one moment, share my screen. There we go. Okay, right. So, hello everyone. So I'm Eloisa McCormack and I'm Head of Delivery for Redkite CRM. Now I've actually had the pleasure of working with all of our panelists today, implementing various Resco solutions for them, which you'll hear more about from them shortly. But first, just very quickly, who are Redkite CRM? So, well, we're a young, innovative company. We work solely with the housing industry, implementing Microsoft Dynamics CE along with portals and mobile solutions to accompany that. We've developed a whole suite of functionality within Dynamics, specifically for the housing sector, to ultimately replace the legacy housing systems. So we cover everything from a full rent accounting solution to service charges, to compliancy, arrears management, and all kinds of customer management processes. And as part of implementing Dynamics for housing, we also often provide portals. So whether that's for residents or contractors, and also mobile solutions so that all the functionality can be accessed remotely. And when it comes to implementing mobile solution for our customers, they do predominantly go down the Resco route. After conducting their own research, their own pilots, Resco always seems to come out as the obvious choice. In our experience, Resco stands out above the other mobile solutions because of the full offline capabilities, the flexibility of the application, and the fact it's really easy and intuitive to use and also develop. And most implementations we do these days do include a mobile element as standard. So for example, we've utilised Resco for estate inspections, repairs, general customer management, risk assessments, tenancy sign-ups, audits, all of that kind of stuff. So, and we've really found that giving users access to that functionality remotely and offline has really transformed mobile working in the housing industry. So that's just a very quick introduction as to who Redkite are. So this leads us now onto our panelists. So they're each going to give us an overview of their mobile implementation, a little introduction, and then we're going to move on to the questions. So I'm going to hand over to Stuart from Town and Country Housing now. So over to you, Stuart.
Thank you, Eloisa. Bear with me a second, let me just share my screen. Hello there, I'm Stuart, Head of Service Transformation at Town and Country Housing. So why are we going mobile at Town and Country? We've spent a great deal of time defining what our customer service offer should be. So over the last 3 years, we've focused on a need to ensure that our service delivery is fit for purpose and it meets the needs of our tenants and provides value for money. So our previous model of service delivery was pretty much the same for all tenants. So while some customers and tenants didn't need any interaction with us after sign up, others needed high level of support. So it gave, our service offer gave dedicated people to call upon, and that was quite resource heavy and meant we were able to reach fewer customers at higher costs. So our new approach sets out to change the way all teams throughout the business deliver services to customers, and we're adopting a digital by default approach. So where possible, interactions take place online. For TCH, this means making digital service that are so straightforward and convenient for all those that can use them, and people that are excluded we can benefit the time savings there. So ultimately, it's improving our digital services to make it easier for customers to do business with us at any time, any place, from any device. So what are we hoping to achieve? We're aiming to achieve a seamless end-to-end service, and we've set out achieving our digital ambitions by facilitating and developing mobile working arrangements for staff, developing our online portal to enable a range of self-service interactions and maximise the number of customers who use it, communicating with customers with using digital channels wherever possible, and reviewing all services to identify opportunities for making them digital. It isn't just a case for us of making things digital. We want it to be easy to use. So maximising the use of internal digital systems, and in improving digital inclusion among our customers. Ultimately, we're aiming to deliver a service that supports those who can't go digital, deliver core services more efficiently, and moves our customers away from dependency. Historically, as a sector, we've created this culture, and it's going to take some time to break that down. So life before Resco was pretty interesting. We knew where we wanted to be, but there seemed to be several obstacles in the way. As part of our new operating model, we're in the process of moving to a patchless approach. So teams were going to be supported by visiting officers and estate contract officers who will be completely mobile. But having a broad range of stock across a wide geographical area, and then the obvious mobile signal issues, we knew that we had a challenge to enable our remote workers to handle their case management in the field. So following discussions with Peabody and a review of the technology they used and other technologies out there, we approached several suppliers and then asked for some demos. Through this process, we sort of identified and looked at a load of different solutions, but I think it's fair to say that they weren't really fit for purpose. But thankfully, during this research, we came and established that Resco did, so it ticked all the boxes for what we needed. It's also good working with Redkite. I think really impressed with the way that they adopt a sort of critical offend approach, and rather than sort of just designing a solution, they've sort of challenged us along the way. So what's been the impact of Resco? As part of our project, we determined the different technology-driven roles within TCH, and this was to ensure that we provided the right hardware that enabled the staff to perform the jobs that they were doing both inside and outside of the office, as well as providing the offline capability to Dynamics. So this allowed staff to perform their jobs while they were unable to connect to a network. I think it's fair to say that the teams using Resco actually love the user experience. They find that having access to CRM whilst out in the field is invaluable. As previously, if they had contact with a customer, they would have to wait in a queue to contact someone back at customer service centre to verify the tenant or make paper notes, and then come back and update the CRM system when they're back in the office. Obviously, with Resco, this is possible to do this while they're out in the field, and also the bit that we like is that you don't have to have a mobile network; it just uploads when you're back in. I think the main feedback from users has been that it's so intuitive and so easy to use. I think we've had lots of other requests from the business who want to use Resco because they prefer that interface over Dynamics. It provides efficient case handling, improves data access, and reduces staff travel time. So implementing Resco has definitely helped us get more people using CRM and seeing the benefits and how it makes their job that little easier. So our future plans, so we've set our strategic direction and we've built the foundations for how we want to deliver our services, but there is still so much to do, and with obviously COVID, that sort of enhanced even more. But working with Redkite and Resco has led to staff re-engaging with CRM, and we're looking forward to see what else the system can deliver. I think for us, what would we want to do? For me, I want to introduce everything now, but there are several areas of the business that we need to look at. And we wanted to develop a tenancy audit function, add the ability to report a complaint, and then open up Resco for use by the income management team. So these three areas are the next bits for our future plans. That's it from me.
Thank you very much there. I think that's very informative. And I'd like to introduce you to one of our next panelists now, which is Richard.
Okay, thank you very much, Guy. Just sort out my screen. That's the one I want. Okay, hopefully you're seeing that now. Yep. Okay, so at Wales and West, we utilize Microsoft Dynamics as our housing management system. We have various offline and remote capabilities, but I'm just going to talk about two, which extend the housing management system into the field. So first of all, we have repairs and compliance, which we call Fix My Home. We divide our services up into systems using systems thinking methodology. So it's an end-to-end process, and we give them nice labels. So Fix My Home is this area. So Microsoft Dynamics is the master database where everything is held. We use a product called K2, which is a competitor to Resco, to select the repairs and compliance jobs that need to be actioned by our DLO. This creates jobs in the system and pushes that data out to the operative's iPads. The operative carries out the work and updates a K2 form on their iPad. That then delivers the data back into Dynamics, updates all the relevant fields for compliance, and also generates, in the case of gas, for example, a CP12 certificate, which it then issues to the resident electronically or to our central admin department, where they print it off and put it in the post, and then files that electronic certificate in SharePoint Online, which sits behind Microsoft Dynamics. The other area where we use mobile capability is in the income management area. So that's pay my rent, as we know it. Again, Microsoft Dynamics is the master database. Housing officers update rent account information using Resco on their iPhones. And then Microsoft Dynamics identifies which residents are not on plan. Now, what on plan is again, a term that we use and developed with Redkite to understand exactly how much a resident is expected to pay against their rent each payment period. And that may be including arrears, service charges, the whole gambit of their income. If they don't stick to that arrangement, they go off plan. And what that does then is it triggers a housing officer visit to the resident to understand what's happened, what's gone wrong, and then they can update that information, agree a new payment plan, or understand how that arrear can be rectified. The whole rationale for this is that we find that the earlier we intervene when an arrear begins, the more likely we are to correct that arrear and to stop it growing. So when we did this, we have a number of what we call demands or reasons why we would want to say to do something. So in the Fix My Home area, these are the demands that we perceive that residents want. So this is system thinking methodology, that everything is driven by the resident's need. And the one in bold there, that residents feel safe in their homes and are safe, and the homes are safe, was the main driver for making sure that the mobile system actually worked efficiently and effectively to maintain that demand. On the rent side of things, again, as I mentioned before, we feel that residents are telling us that the earlier we can get to them and help them and understand what problems they have, the less likely they are to accumulate a large arrear. So again, getting that data out into the field in the hands of the housing officer and the resident themselves enables that process to work much better. When we were looking at solutions, being in Wales or working all across Wales, including the elements of Mid Wales where mobile signal is almost non-existent, the solutions must work offline. Clearly, they must integrate with Dynamics because that's our housing management system. And the interfaces must be very clear and easy to use. And it must work across multiple platforms. And then finally, they have to be easy to maintain because we do like changing things. We do like continuous improvement. I've been with Wales and West now 7 years, and I'm on my 4th implementation of our antisocial behaviour module. So we do tinker, so we do need to be able to change it. As far as benefits are concerned, we have moved a lot of back office functions into the field. We've provided the field workers with information in a timely manner. Previously, if a housing officer was going to visit a resident, they would have to go into the office, print out all the information that they think they might need during the visit, and then take that with them. Now they don't need to think about any of that. They can just go to the resident's home, sit on the settee with the resident, and access the data in real time, even without a signal. And that's very important. And especially with the compliance area, it takes the human element out of the system. So with gas servicing, for example, The only human in the process is actually the gas engineer. Everything else is done electronically by the system. From the identification of which boiler needs to be serviced right through to the certificate landing in our compliance repository. So again, that is given us a lot of benefit, a lot of confidence that when we report our servicing regulatory status to board, we are very sure that it is actually real. And that's it. That's how we use offline systems. Thanks very much. Back to Guy, I think.
Thank you very much, Richard. Our next housing association, I'd like to introduce Mark and Danny from Moat Housing.
Thank you, Guy. I think Danny's going to share her screen first. There we go. Good stuff. So good morning, everyone. I'm Mark Rogers, Director of Business Transformation and Insight here at Moat. And we're just going to put together a brief presentation in terms of our experience, in terms of why we wanted a mobile solution, and then some of the outcomes as well. So just a bit of context, at Moat, we own or manage around 20,000 homes in the southeast of England. We've got stock in Essex, Kent, Sussex and London, so we're quite widely dispersed. And I guess that's one of our challenges and one of the reasons why we wanted to have a really good mobile solution. Just to put it a bit more context, we embarked on a digital transformation strategy back in 2017, seeking to deliver a best-in-class digital experience for both our staff and our customers. With that in mind, we launched, our first step was to launch a mobile customer portal back in 2018, which was really, really successful. And actually we had people banging down our doors saying, actually, why do customers get a better experience than ourselves when we try and use our own systems? So with that in mind, we started to look out there in terms of what the offerings were in terms of different mobile options. So I thought I'd just put into context some of the challenges we had. So we've got a dispersed stock. Even though we're based in Essex, London, Sussex and Kent, some of the areas that we operate in have a really poor mobile signal. So not quite mid Wales, but not even close, I guess. But it is frustrating for some of our staff. And that was something that was really important to us. We had an offline capability. And actually, we really liked the way that Resco achieves that. So that was really important for us. So we started with our neighbourhoods team. And for me and for the rest of the business, it really made no sense for our staff to return to the office each day to complete administrational tasks, or in some cases for those guys to actually send forms back for administrational staff back at head office to actually complete the work. So I was really keen to make sure whatever solution we had, staff could complete their cases, have access to our systems in the moment, so wherever they were. We use a lot of paper. People print out cases, account balances, some customer information, which not only is a pain, it's a drain on the environment, but it's also not particularly secure. So we wanted to make sure that we did away with all of that, and also cut down unnecessary travel as well. So for us, Resco seemed like an obvious choice. Like Stuart, we went through quite a lengthy procurement process, and we arrived at Resco. So I'm going to pass over to Danny now, who will talk a bit about the implementation.
Hi, I'm Danny Copeland. I'm the Senior Project Manager at Moat. So I worked on the implementation of Resco in our organisation. We started exploring Resco kind of at the end of 2018, and we went live with our first phase in May 2019. We initially targeted our neighbourhood department because they are some of our most frontline staff, our neighbourhood services managers. And we formed a project team comprising of neighbourhood service managers and some of the managers in that team. So neighbourhood operations managers and a head of. We had some of our IT team on that, and we also obviously had Eloisa from Redkite. And we had several sort of initial requirements capture sessions just to understand what the business wanted from their mobile solution, but also what Resco could offer us in terms of a mobile solution. That was a really collaborative working approach with Eloisa. She really guided us in what Resco, what the realms of Resco were and what we could get out of it as an organisation, which was really helpful. That she was really knowledgeable about the product. We decided, armed with the knowledge we had, that we would look to initially get our estate inspections onto Resco. They're really time consuming. The paperwork that our NSMs had to fill out were about, I think, 3 sides of paper. That was for each block. And then all the photos, and then having to come back to the office and log all the actions from those estate inspections. So the repairs, any health and safety issues, and any correspondence to customers that needed to go out. They were looking at, some of our estate inspections would take in excess of a couple of days to get the inspection done and the paperwork filed and all the actions reported. So that was a real sort of key one for us. We also wanted to look at getting the fire risk actions, so the actions that come out of our fire risk assessments, available on Resco, so that they were they were a priority to go out and action those. It's normally for NSMs to go and remove bulk items from communal areas and fire hazards like that. A request from Neighbourhoods team was to mobilise our ASB case, so have the whole ASB case on there end to end, which we did because that was a requirement from the business. However, I will say that is not used to its full potential, and actually that was a real learning curve for us, because I think a lot of people, when they go into mobile working, want what they see on a desktop on mobile, but actually that doesn't always work. So in terms of the ASB stuff, that would have, elements of that to be mobilized would have been really good. So access to update notes and write up your interview notes and things like that. But actually the full thing end to end just doesn't really work as a mobile, in mobile as much. We also gave staff sort of general functions, sort of reporting repairs, looking at repairs, property information, customer account information, and obviously their contact details. We then started on our phase 2 with not a lot of gap, to be honest. We started looking at phase 2 around June of 2019, and we went live with that around sort of October for the neighbourhood staff. And we also digitised elements for, we call them our neighbourhood response team, but they're like our in-house maintenance teams. So they can now do put on their orders for materials via Resco and see their jobs that are coming through. The implementation is really positive. All of our neighbourhood staff are really positive about it. It was really easy to learn. There wasn't a lot of training that we had to do. We identified those that struggled more, and we gave them more intense training, but on the whole, people just picked it up because it is very similar to our CRM dynamic system that they're using every day. In fact, feedback is it's easier to use, and they actually prefer using Resco to the actual CRM dynamic system. We've seen a ton of benefits as well. The amount of administration time for staff has reduced dramatically. They don't have to come to the office and print off documents. They don't have to come back to the office and scan those documents on. They don't have to sit and log all the actions that they found whilst out on their visits. They can just do it all from their iPad in the car whilst they're travelling around. There's less time needed in the office, more time spent with our customers. Our data is more secure. Like Mark said, we haven't got bits of paper floating around people's cars anymore. It's all in the one system. The information is updated in real time if they're online. And obviously if they're offline, then it's just whenever they get that signal again, and it's all updated into our core systems for the rest of the business to see. And it's a lot more reliable. We were using an in-house kind of built system that we called Moat Lite. And yeah, it's just more reliable, and there's a lot more information available to our staff on it. So yeah, it was from a project management side of things. It was a really nice working team working with Resco, and a really nice product to roll out actually, because it's really simple to use for staff and our IT teams to develop as well. And that's it from me.
So thank you there to the Moat team. I'm sure everybody listening has found all the sort of brief presentations given by everyone here very informative, and you can take some of that knowledge away when you're looking to deploy your digitalization projects, hopefully in the near future as well. We do want to make this session interactive with our attendees, so if you do have any particular questions you would like to direct to anybody here, please feel free to write them in the question box. We've also prepared a few questions ourselves, which I think everyone will be interested to see how these associations speaking today have gone about that. I will pose the first question, and that's probably on everyone's minds, of course, and that is, how has the coronavirus pandemic affected your mobile strategy, I would say, or your digitalization strategy as a whole? And please feel free to jump in and answer that as you wish.
I'm happy to take. Oh, sorry, Stuart, you go ahead.
Go.
Okay. I would say that it hasn't actually affected our mobile strategy. We already made the decision to adopt Resco, but what it has done is accelerated our plan, I guess, for enabling staff to work from home, both from a technical perspective, but also culturally as well. I think there's plenty of people that were sceptical about the potential for people to be efficient and productive at home, but I think we've all proved those naysayers wrong, actually, and I think we've proved that actually home working is something that could be considered for the new normal, if that's the right phrase. Actually, I don't like that phrase, I won't use that again. But so yeah, it hasn't really changed things, but it has accelerated our plans.
Yeah, I think homework's got to play a key role in the foreseeable future, to be honest with you. The flexibility that a mobile solution can provide for that is pivotal, I would say. Stuart, would you like to add to that at all?
Yeah, I echo what Mark said, but I think for us as well, it's demonstrated the need better than any business case. So you know, we've tried putting stuff together, and you know, the work we've done over the last sort of 3 years has got us to where we are. But now that the organisation and you know, the naysayers, the Luddites or whatever, they all now want to use this technology. They all see the benefits of it. So you know, we've now got another project called Shaping the Future, which is looking at the lessons learned that we've gathered over the last sort of 4 or 5 months. So yeah, it's not. I don't think it's going to change it. I think it's just you know, as Mark said, it's going to accelerate it massively.
Mm-hmm. Perfect. Louisa, I believe you have a few questions as well.
Yeah, sure. So yeah, just again, a question for everybody really. Feel free to jump in and answer as you wish. Obviously, great mobile solutions must be able to be deployed on most mobile devices. What was your decision-making process for the hardware that you actually ended up going with?
I think I wouldn't mind taking that one, Louisa. For me, because Resco, for example, works across all platforms, it didn't really matter which platform we purchased. But what we were finding, especially with mobile phones, is to keep within the sort of N-3 operating system upgrade was quite difficult. Some manufacturers actually lock their hardware so that you can't go beyond a version of Android, for example. We found this out the hard way after we bought a lot of phones, and then found that we couldn't progress them past Android version 7. So therefore, the pool of devices was very much narrowed to devices that would be maintained by the manufacturer into the future. And that really means it pushes us more towards Apple devices, although the Android devices are catching up, especially Google Pixels now will support N-3. So that was really the driver for us. It was around cyber security and compliance.
Okay, great. Thanks, Richard. Does anyone else got anything to add to that on what devices you're using and why?
Yeah, we took a slightly different approach. So we ran a proof of concept with staff and gave them multiple devices to use. So ours was more about user adoption. So we went with Samsung and Surfaces. So different roles. So the main bit would be you get a Surface and a Samsung A50. If you just needed a mobile device, you're mainly field based. So this is our estate contract team. You'd probably get a slightly bigger device, which was the A70.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you for all those. I have another question that sort of follows on from that, and that really is, obviously data security is vital. What sort of approaches did you use to secure the customer's data? Who would like to answer that one?
I can take that one. So we use iPads, so just leading on from the previous question really, and we adopted Apple technology because we always think that it gives you that added extra security, level of security. We were also quite keen to add an extra layer of security on top of what was provided by the iPad and Resco, so we used something called Pulse to give us that extra layer. Which means that if in the unlikely event of a staff member leaving their iPad unlocked in a Costa coffee shop and then someone picking it up and using it straight after, then they wouldn't be able to access the system. So we was quite keen to do that. But I think the kind of native security that comes with Resco is very good as well.
Okay. Thank you for that.
Yeah, just to add to that, before we move on from that, one thing that I've done is we roll out everything via Intune. So we use Intune as the MDM, but also layer in all malware protection as well. And we are about to roll out MFA after that. That vector certainly, as an attack vector, seems to be gaining in popularity now. And there's a lot of spoof login prompts being circulated via email at the moment. So having the sort of dual sign-on capability hopefully will take that vector out for us. There's lots of others. We also use ATP, the Azure ATP platform. That is overwhelming us with hits. We are currently running at around about 30 to 40 alerts a day, which take a long time to investigate. So it is a little bit of a sort of a swings and roundabouts thing. So once you've implemented ATP, it's great, it protects you, but it does give you an awful lot of false positives to work with.
Yeah, thank you very much for answering that. Thank you.
Okay, so another question then. So just generally, what kind of mobile enhancements are you looking at in the next sort of 6 to 12 months? Like what's on your roadmap for Resco?
I don't mind taking this one. So we are looking to roll out Resco to our property services team now. So we have been exploring, along with Eloisa, the questionnaire module of Resco to use that for their sort of health and safety surveys and inspections and things like that. So yeah, we also further down the line want to look at opening up to our customer accounts teams as well. But property services next, just because we're trying to streamline the systems that we use. We've done that for our neighbourhoods teams, but we've still got property services who are using kind of some other third party apps for inspections such as eye auditor, and I think they're using even they're kind of using 2 different ones in the same department. So we just want to get that streamlined and get everyone on Resco, all the information feeding into our core systems so it's visible for everyone, particularly around sort of health and safety stuff. I mean, at the moment, I think some of that's being done on third-party apps and then has to be input into our core systems to be visible for the business. So we just want to expand that to them.
Okay, great. Does anyone else get anything to add to that one?
Yeah, I think for us, it's the next big ticket one is the income management. So they do a lot of work in CRM and using Genero. So it'd just be a lot easier, especially, you know, they're the other big team that are out in the field a lot. So they can just use Resco to do all of that work and then spend a lot more time out with our customers.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'll wrap up with a final question, I would say, because you know, we're really nearly at the time now. But if anyone attending does have any, you know, questions, please feel free to write them. I can see that the panelists are answering them as quick as they can. I think the final question would be, what are the notable differences are there really in deploying a mobile solution compared with the standard enterprise solutions that are on the market at the moment? Who would like to answer that first? Is that yourself, Richard?
Yeah, thanks, Guy. I suppose I've already mentioned Microsoft Intune. We use Intune to deploy mobile apps, so we can update hundreds. I've got 700 staff, so it's quite an effort to deploy an upgrade on a laptop. So being able to use Intune to roll out a mobile app to hundreds of users almost in minutes has made a massive saving for deployment in time and effort for my team. So certainly the direction of travel is to get away from sort of browser-based applications and move more towards app-based applications, purely because we can roll out much more quickly.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I think that's a very useful for the attendees to know that. Does anybody else want to add to that?
No, it's a very good answer.
Yeah, I think he covered it for everybody there. So I see that our panelists have already answered most of the questions that have come in for that. I will just basically wrap things up and say that we posed the questions at the beginning if mobile solutions can assist housing associations. I think we've answered that for you, that it plays a key role in the future and at present for the work that's being carried out, in particular to the current climate, of course. I'd like to thank all our panelists today for taking their time out, presenting or sharing their knowledge with the wider community and answering these questions. If any of you do who are listening have any sort of more questions, then please feel free to reach out to myself via any channel, also to Eloisa. And I know the panelists here are more than happy to share the knowledge that they've gained from these projects as well. So from myself, I'd just like to say thank you very much from all of us here at Resco. And guys, if you want to say goodbye to everybody, feel free.
Yeah, thanks everybody.
See you later. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.